Hi everyone, it's revision time again, and today we're looking at Section C, Irish Art. It's always a really good idea as part of your revision to use past exam papers. And we're looking at 2024 here again. You can find examination papers, marking schemes, and Chief Examiner's report at examinations.ie. We're looking at Section C, Ireland and its place in the wider world. Question 14 from the pre-Christian era. Discuss the development of motifs on stone carving and metalwork throughout this period. Refer in your answer to specific artifacts. Include discussion of context, materials and techniques, art elements, and design principles. Discuss the development of motifs on stone carving and metalwork, referring to specific artifacts. Because the question requires you to discuss motifs on specific artifacts throughout the period, you should discuss motifs, artifacts, and context from the three pre-Christian areas of Stone, Bronze, and Iron Age, and refer in general to the developments and advances in technology of that period. Starting with the Stone Age, briefly discuss the arrival of the first farmers and how Neolithic people spread across the country. Continue with the new styles that came with the Bronze technology and how Stone Age culture also continued alongside this for a while. Now to the Iron Age and the real changes in style that came with the Celtic influence and especially the Latine culture. Then discuss the development of motifs on both stone carving and metalwork. Looking first at the Stone Age, we can see some of the primary motifs associated with that time. Concentric circles, spirals, arcs, serpentine forms, and dots in circles, chevrons, and then hatched triangles, and lozenges, radials, parallel lines, etc. Moving on to the Bronze Age, we see some of the motifs are quite similar. Concentric circles and circles within circles, hatching, parallel lines, etc. But these have all been applied with the compass and with specific tools. Gold objects were decorated with simple abstract geometric patterns, and these elements were repeated and combined in various ways. The Iron Age brought considerable change, and we see now some of the motifs that were associated with the Romans, like the pelta. The triskele or triskelion, with three radiating curves or spirals, was commonly found across Europe. The biggest difference, however, is that the motifs were now based on plant forms, such as the honeysuckle. In fact, Iron Age art was quite distinctive in character, and motifs were borrowed from Eastern and Greek ideas. Now we're going to look at some specific artifacts. So starting with Newgrange and looking at the curbstones around Newgrange, there's plenty to choose from. Curbstone 52 has a bigger range of motifs. We might choose the gold lanula for the Bronze Age. We can see the hatching and the parallel lines on this. The brighter colour is probably the most obvious choice for an Iron Age artefact, because this splendid object is one of Ireland's finest masterpieces. Looking at materials and techniques, we find in the Stone Age that stones at Newgrange were decorated in low-relief patterns, and techniques used to create this decoration included picking or pecking with a pointed stone chisel and a hammer. The Bronze Age gold-working techniques often included objects that were made from a single piece of gold. Patterns were abstract and geometric, and compasses were used for the circular decoration. In the Iron Age, media and areas of practice included metalwork, iron, and bronze, and gold. To look at the art elements and design principles, we can see that curbstone 52 is situated at the back of the mound in a direct line with the entrance stone. The pattern here includes the use of line, but also note balance and symmetry because the groove divides the pattern in two. The gold lanula is very, very focused again on line. Parallel lines surround the edges. Line is used again to make the bands of chevrons here. And lines or strokes again form triangles. And once again, symmetry and balance are very much a part of this design. Now, the art elements and design principles associated with the broiture colour, once we see the pattern flattened out like this, we can immediately see that it forms a very interesting rhythm. But also symmetry, balance, as well as contrast can be found in this design. One artifact that could be included in this is the Thoreau stone because it compares so well with the broiture colour, and note in particular the single triskele. For marking purposes, section B and C is divided into 4 descriptors: coherence and focus, your understanding of the demands of the question, and your ability to present a reasonable response. 10 marks. Subject knowledge, your ability to recall, know, and understand your chosen section of focus. 20 marks. Relevant examples. Your choice of artist and artworks. 10 marks. Visual language, terminology and/or sketches. Your use and understanding of descriptive language as well as the terminology of art. 10 marks. And the marking scheme, of course, can be found on examinations.ie. And at this stage, there's just one thing left to say, and that's best of luck with those exams.